Hello, welcome back to the Boardgames 4K YouTube channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally talk a load of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video we're going to be counting down our top 10 Halloween themed, sort of horror themed board games for you to play at Halloween. There's not really a top 10, it's just because there's no real order here. We're going to go through some kids games, we're going to go through a variety of games, and there's not really going to be any kind of order to this. So we're going to give you a quick overview of the game, and then we're going to tell you what we do like, what we don't like, and hopefully this ain't going to take too long. So it's the top 10 games that you can play on Halloween. Boardgames 4K. So number 10 on this list is a cooperative game where one person plays a ghost and the other players play guests in a house, and it's a game called Mysterium in English, and it's called Tasmeni de Mosto in Ukrainian or Polish or something like that, the Polish version, the foreign version. And what you got in this game is that someone's been murdered, and someone takes the character of the ghost of the person that's been murdered, and one of the guests is a murderer. You'll be using cards that are similar to the ones at Dixit, trying to give the guests clues as to which one of the guests was the murderer. So your companions will have to find out where they were killed, who killed them, and what with what. Yeah, so it's sort of like Cluedo meets Dixit, and this game is absolutely fantastic. It really does evoke a spooky atmosphere, and because there's not really many components of this game, you can kind of tone down the lighting somewhat, just enough so you can see the cards, and it is such a fantastic game. Plays up to 7. We really highly recommend you play Mysterium / Tasmeni de Mosto, and there's a couple of expansions for this. So yeah, that's our number 10. So number 9 on this list is a game for very, very, very young children. It's called Spooky Stairs. I can't remember what it's called in German, but what you got, basically there's a board with this cartoon staircase, and you've got these pawns. You'll roll a die, and then it will tell you that you can move a certain amount of spaces, and then if you roll the ghost symbol, then you will have to put a ghost over the top of your pawn, and there's a magnet inside the ghost that basically covers your pawn up, and on subsequent rolls you'll have to swap another ghost with your ghost. So it's a sort of a memory training game for very young children, and it's a great laugh, because no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to remember where your ghost is. And it's a fantastic, really, really simple game for kids at Halloween. Highly recommended if you've got young children, or if you haven't, it's just a good laugh. That's Spooky Stairs on number 9. So our number 8 on this list is it's been released in a variety of forms. Its more popular name is Werewolf, but we're talking about the One Night Ultimate Werewolf because it's by far the best version of this game. What you've got a variety of roles. You use an app to run through all the roles, and all of the roles will then take a certain predetermined action, and at the end of that round, once everyone's taken their actions, once the app cycles through all the characters, then you will have to decide who is the werewolf, and you'll have a certain amount of time to decide. And what makes this special as opposed to the original version of Werewolf is that this is a very slimmed down version of Werewolf. There's no player elimination like there was in Werewolf, and it's a very, very slimline version of Werewolf that you can play multiple times, and there's always arguments flying around, good-natured arguments, and we really, really like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. So number 7 on this list is, I think it's number 7. Yeah, number 7 on this list is it's like a variety of games. It's anything to do with Arkham Horror, and whether that's the original Arkham Horror, whether you're talking about Eldritch Horror or the living card game or Elder Science, anything to do with that Cthulhu mythos type thing that is so prevalent today. Yeah, you can't beat a game of Arkham Horror. It takes all night to play, and that is perfect for Halloween, right? Because you're going to get pissed on pumpkin wine, right? What you want is a game that's going to last all night, where you start to get tired, and then your brain starts to freak out, and you can turn the lights down with Arkham Horror. It really does evoke that really spooky atmosphere. And if you want a quicker version of this, you can always go for Eldritch Horror, or if there's only a couple of you, or you want to play it on your own, you've got the living card game, and you've got all them scenarios. So anything to do with Arkham Horror, that is a fantastic choice for Halloween, and that's our number 7. So our number 6 on this list is a tower defense game by Antoine Bowser called Ghost Stories. And while this doesn't really take that sort of traditional Gothic sort of Halloween feel. It's like the Japanese sort of style ghosts. You're basically in the centre of the board and you've got these ghosts coming at you from all angles, and you're using your special abilities to beat these ghosts back and to get to a certain number and win the day. And while this is kind of a bit complicated to learn because it's all icon based, it's another Antoine Bowser icon fest. Once you get over that hurdle, then Ghost Stories is tense and it is bloody hard. That's part of the charm, right? It's Robinson Crusoe difficult. And if you beat this game, it's one of them gaming moments that will live with you for the rest of your day. So we highly recommend Ghost Stories, and that is our number 6. So number 5 on this list is a cooperative game that has a hidden traitor. It's Dead of Winter. It's one of the greatest hidden traitor games known to humanity, and it really does fit the bill when you're looking at a game to play for Halloween, because there's so many different variations of this. You've got the base set which plays up to 5. You can chuck in the extra content that you get with the long night, but if there's loads of you can split those 2 games up into the Warring Colonies expansion, where you pick colony against colony and you go at it, right? So we really like Dead of Winter. You've got the crossroad cards, add a thematic story to the game. You've got all them wonderful characters. You've got Bubbles the monkey in there, and we really like the fact there's a hidden traitor because you can get in there. You can mess with people's heads, right? So that's Dead of Winter. That's our number 5. So number 4 on this list is a very old game that has recently seen its 4th reprint, and it's Fury of Dracula. This is basically a very elaborate version of a very old game called Scotland Yard. One of you is Dracula taking on all of the investigators, and you'll be moving around the map, marking down where you've moved, but not telling the investigators where you've moved. And it's sort of like a cat and mouse thing. So Dracula will move, and then the players will get clues as to where they've moved, and they'll have to try and intercept Dracula and beat him up before he escapes. And it's a fantastic game. It might be a little bit clunky. I know they've slimmed it down from the second edition, but it's still a little bit clunky, and I know the players, when we've played it, every time the players get frustrated as to where Dracula could be, and they're convinced that he's in a certain space, but he ends up being over in Iceland or something like that. But it's still a fantastic game. The production values on the 3rd edition or 4th edition or whatever by Fantasy Flight and now WizKids are off the charts. The artwork is fantastic, the component quality is fantastic. It really is a tense and thematic and evocative game, and that is Fury of Dracula. So our number 3 on this list is a huge game. They just announced a 2nd edition on Kickstarter, and this is Zombicide. And we're not talking about Black Plague, even though that sort of may fit in sort of. We're talking about the original Zombicide, or maybe now the 2nd edition of Zombicide, the urban one, the modern day Zombicide. And there's so many different modules for this. We printed off a massive wad of scenarios for Zombicide. This is huge. We got a huge folder full of scenarios that will take us till the end of our days. There's no less than, I think there's 6 expansions for this. You've got the original core set, you've got the Toxic City Mall, you've got the Rue Morgue, Prison Outbreak, Angry Neighbours, there's loads. And you've got all the special edition miniatures for this, and it's just a vast game. You could set this up any which way you want, and it will never get old. It can be a bit hard. There's a few clunky rules with the targeting mechanism, but you can house rule that out and put in your own rules for that. Or there's some extra rules. You could dump the zombivores or zombivores or whatever you want to call them, because that was a load of crap. But Zombicide is a toolkit that allows you to mould the game to your liking, and you can have a great laugh with this one. And that's our number 3. So number 2 on this list is another kids game. It's Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters. And I know you're going to say, yeah, but Matt, that's a roll and move game. And it is a roll and move game, but it's for kids, right? So you've got to be rolling a die. You'll be walking around this spooky sort of mansion type thing. You'll be fighting ghosts, trying to put stuff in your backpack and escape from the spooky mansion before time runs out. And this is for sort of older kids. It's a step up from Spooky Stairs. So this year, if you've got really young kids, you could play Spooky Stairs, and maybe next year or a couple of years down the line, you could play this. But it's still really good for adults. There's still some nice choices, even though it's roll and move. It's still some pretty good choices to be made, and it is quite tense when these ghosts start taking over the rooms and everything, and you start to get wrapped up and where do I go next, and you've got all these threats and these ghosts turn into phantoms or whatever. It is a great game for very young children and adults alike, so that we highly recommend Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters for Halloween. That's our number 2. So our number 1 on this list, and I know you're going to be screaming at me, but you know what it is. It's Betrayal at House on the Hill. And I know this game's broken, but I don't care. It's the most thematic Halloween game you can get. And you pick a character with special abilities and you'll be trudging around this modular mansion, and the map is made as you go along, so you'll be drawing tiles depending on what floor you're on, put them out, you'll be drawing cards associated with the icons on that tile, and you'll be resolving these encounters, and at the end of every turn you'll be rolling these dice, and if you roll a certain amount on the dice you will trigger a haunt, and you'll be looking through this book and you'll find out that maybe one of you is the traitor, and they'll have to go away, read the traitor's portion of the haunt, and then everyone else will have to read the hero's portion of the haunt, and then a certain scenario will happen. One of the major complaints of this game is that a lot of the haunts are broken, and yes, we know that, but we don't care because it is a fantastic experience, right? And I think someone's gone through all the haunts and fixed them all, and you can get something from Board Game Geek or whatever, and there's an expansion called Widow's Walk with extra stuff, extra floors, extra cards, extra haunts. So in a sense, does it fix the game? No, it doesn't fix the game, and I know that, so don't shout at me. If you're looking for a Halloween experience, if you can get over the problem of the broken haunts and the fact that also maybe somebody might not be too sure as to what they're meant to do if they're the traitor, because where they're on their own, they're reading through the haunt book, it's like if they don't understand what they're meant to do, the game falls apart. If you can get over that, then this is without doubt the most thematic Halloween themed game that you can get, and that's Betrayal House on the Hill, or Betrayal Legacy, or any of the Betrayals apart from the Baldur's Gate load of crap that was released a little while ago. That is the game that you want to play on Halloween. Right, so there you go, that's our top 10 Halloween themed games for you to try this Halloween and beyond. Right, so remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, leave a comment in that section down below, and we'll see you next time.